Is the 2023 Land Rover Discovery Sport the ultimate luxury compact crossover SUV? This is the R-Dynamic SE that we're going to be taking a look at today, and I borrowed this model from my friends here at Land Rover of Shreveport, and it really fits to have an exterior color of black because black, well, it represents elegance. And while this model has some reasonable off-road capabilities, it is all-wheel drive. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's not capable off-road and all that kind of stuff. Those typically are people who don't even own these, but they can say what they want. It doesn't really matter. It does have that. It also has a roomy interior, and for the price that you pay, you get quite a bit. It looks like it's a lot higher end vehicle compared to what the price really is. So we're going to have LED headlights with signature daytime running lights. A very unique setup here as far as the daytime running lights go. You can see how they follow the contour here and kind of work their way into the housing right there. I feel like I should be able to move my finger further in there, but I can't, obviously. Nice looking turn signal indicators right here. The way those are made looks excellent. And you do have those really kind of concealed away when they're not on. You would think they're not located here within these side view mirrors, but they are. Overall, a very nice look to the front end. Let's close the hood here and give you a little bit better idea of what that looks like. You've got the Discovery logo right here. Tell me what you think. Should that be white or a different color? Should it be inset into the hood? What do you think? A nice looking hood here or a nice looking front end here, I should say, as far as the overall look. It does remain to look like the Discovery as far as the full-size Discovery goes. And everything functional, the upper grille and the lower grille. You even have an area right here that's going to let air in as well. The R-Dynamic badging right here on the front end. And you do have functional air vents right here. These are not faux vents, so that's always good. That helps to improve gas mileage. In fact, I probably shouldn't have closed the hood yet because we're going to talk about not only gas mileage, but every other detail about the engine that's under that hood. Under the hood, well, there's one engine offering available here for the Discovery Sport. It's the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It makes 246 horsepower and 269 pounds-feet of torque. Mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. And as I said earlier, this model is all-wheel drive. And obviously a very important question to be answered, gas mileage. What exactly are those numbers? 19 city, 23 out on the highway, 20 combined. And according to Land Rover, here's a pretty impressive number. You should use 5 gallons of gas per every 100 miles you drive your Land Rover Discovery Sport. I do like the fact that it has the hydraulic hood struts right here, so you don't have to go looking for that manual prop rod to put in place when you open the hood. Tire size comes in at 235 by 50, so you're going to have the 50 series sidewall that makes the ride quality a lot better. That's this area here. It's going to absorb bumps a lot better compared to a low profile tire when driving down the road. And then we also have the 20-inch wheels, and if for some reason you need to replace a tire with a spare, you do have a full-size spare. And the red brake calipers really set that off right here, especially with those black rims. And here is a quick look at the remote if you were curious to know what that looks like. There is a Land Rover logo on the rear of that remote. You'll just have to take my word for it. But when you hit the lock button, you will find out that you have power folding side view mirrors. And we'll give you another quick look. We've kind of looked at the outside already, the exterior here. You can see you've got the nice roof spoiler. And while the rear window wiper is here exposed on the rear, it could be up here. Maybe we'll see that when Land Rover redesigns this model in the future. But here is an impressive number, at least in my opinion. For a compact crossover SUV, luxury or not, being able to tow 4,409 pounds is actually rather impressive. And what about cargo capacity? It's going to be 32.7 up to 55.6 cubic feet. And you do have the removable cargo mat right here, so if you wanted to remove that and reveal the carpet underneath, you could do that. There's more storage space under there. In fact, I don't think I can lift this without, well, maybe I can. There you go. Now there's a good look at that spare tire, because when I showed you the undercarriage earlier, you were probably wondering about that. So let's show you how to maximize your cargo capacity, which is not that terribly difficult to do. We're only going to do this on one side, but you push that button right there, move the seats out of the way, and that maximizes your cargo capacity. We'll move that back up out of the way and close the power door. This power rear door is very useful in a multitude of ways. Nice to have a multitude of ways. 3 ways you can actually open that. There's a button on the interior, the button that I pushed above the license plate bracket. It's right here. Let's see if I can give you a look at that. There it is, right there. And obviously you have the ability to do the same thing with the remote as well. And taking a look into the interior, a nice interior. We're gonna have a pretty soft material right here. The red contrast stitching, I do like the way that you have really the aluminum look right here. That looks pretty nice, it looks elegant. A little bit of a chrome look here with the door handle, and then a fairly large door bin for such a small size SUV, a compact crossover SUV. It is rather deep down in there, and a little bit more of the contrast with red on the piping here for the seats. And let's hop inside and see what your rear seat passengers will find. You're going to have the rear seat pockets there for more storage, heated seats, the outboard seats only. So whoever sits in the middle seat here, well, if it's cold outside, their butt's just going to have to be cold, right? And then you've got your dual air conditioning vents and connectivity options here. There's a USB port, obviously a 12-volt power outlet right there, and another USB option. And one more thing to talk about before we move on to the front seat, that is the panoramic sunroof. Now, it's just a solid piece of glass up there, so you won't be able to open that in case you were wondering about that, but it is there. There is a shade to conceal that away if needed. And taking a look here at the passenger side door for the front seat, going to notice, well, pretty much the same thing we saw with the rear seating area with the door back there. A little bit more space here with the door bin, and it's just so hard to tell, but that is fairly deep. There's a lot of space in there. You could put a nice large Dr. Pepper Icy right there. That's my favorite flavor. What's your favorite flavor of Icy? Or maybe you'd call it a Slurpee where you're from. I don't know. And then back there, you could put your Skittles, your Butterfingers, maybe some Twinkies, whatever you like back there. Or if you're into fitness, you could fit a blender bottle of protein. You'd probably have to lay that down in there, and maybe some beef jerky and some other snacks as well for bodybuilding purposes. And very comfortable seating here. It looks fairly sporty. Well, it should, because this is the Discovery Sport. More of that red piping right there and the red contrast stitching here as well. A nice design on the seats right there. And we'll hop inside here and take a look at what is a glove box, or what I like to call a gloveless glove box, because, well, as you can see, there's no gloves in there. I rarely find gloves in the glove boxes of these vehicles. And if you're not a fan of push button shifters, good news, you've got the more traditional style shifter here, although it does have some push button functionality, as you can see right there, but still a more traditional shifter. A very clean area here. Not much going on, pretty simplistic. So if you don't want a lot of buttons and things to deal with, well, that's a good thing. You're going to have more connectivity there as far as the 12-volt power. Oh, excuse me, there's the USB port right there, not the 12-volt. And then right here is the wireless charging pad, dual cup holders, and a little more of that red contrast stitching on the dual purpose lid for the console. It's not only a lid for a console or the console, but also going to be the armrest for the driver and the passenger. And as you can see, more connectivity options right there. If you're thinking there's got to be more, well, there is. And you can see, well, let's see here. We'll try and give you an idea. Here's the brochure, and you can see how that fits down in there. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how deep that console actually is. And here on the driver's side door, well, we're not going to find a lot more than we did on the passenger side, but there are the controls for the windows, the power adjustable side view mirrors, and there is even 3 different settings here, as you can see right here, for seat memory. So that's good. The Meridian sound system, I'll let you hear what that sounds like in just a little while. When we get in here, this is the adjustable tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. We'll hit the push button start there to start everything up, give you a quick look at what the combination of the digital and analog dashboard looks like. So if you were curious about that, well, now you know what's there. You do have adaptive cruise control here and several other safety features such as blind spot assist, road lane departure mitigation, all that good stuff. It's all there. You've got the controls here on the left side that allow you to go through a lot of different information on that digital dash about the vehicle. You're going to have steering wheel mounted controls. There's the turn signal with the controls for the lighting around the vehicle and the front and rear window wiper controls. And speaking of the windows, you have the cold climate pack here, and that includes the heated windshield, the heated steering wheel, and the headlight washers as well. And don't mind the blinking on the screen. That is actually due to my camera, so that doesn't have anything to do with Land Rover. But you do have the Pivi Pro here. I really like that. There is a lot going on here. You have the slope assist right there in case you're on a slope and you want to know exactly what angle you are driving at. So that is there. You're also going to have quite a few nice features here. You have those cameras, another part of that safety system that we talked about earlier. If I can get that to work, that's my fault, not the screen. So don't blame Land Rover, just blame me for that. But as you can see, you actually have a couple of different options on views here as far as what you can see. Hopefully you can see that well enough. I apologize for that blinking. It's just one of the problems with these GoPros that we run into. So obviously quite a bit here. You've got, let's see if we can get back to where I need to be right here. Here we go. Obviously you have navigation right here, and one of the best navigation systems I think I have seen. It works very well, very easily. Right now I have my phone paired with Apple CarPlay. You can also pair with Android Auto depending on your device type. So all of that is here. In fact, there is so much here, it's almost too much. But let me do this. I'm going to get my phone out here real quick, and we're going to give you a demonstration of that Meridian sound system that we have in the vehicle. So here we go. I'm going to let you hear what that sounds like. Okay, and that's probably enough of that, just so you know what it sounds like. And like I said earlier, there is where the phone charger, the wireless phone charger is. I think you could see my phone come on right there. And you do have heated seats here as well. You're just going to push in on the dial right there to change the settings. It is a little too warm today for that, but we can go back to our settings for everything right there. As far as the temperature goes, here's how you're going to adjust your fan speed. Everything is there, and quite a few other features here. You can turn traction control on and off. Hill start assist is there, and you can turn off that auto stop start feature so that you can save the life of your engine. Even though some of these starters are a little bit more beefed up for that in this day and age, it's still not good for the bottom end of the motor, the crankshaft, the bearings, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into too much of that and make it overly technical for you. Here is the control that I use, the button I use to open that shade for the panoramic sunroof. Now, we talked about earlier, I think I mentioned it, but just in case I didn't, I don't know that you can see it, but there is a head-up display right there. You can see the projector for it right here. So hopefully that shows up in the video. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to gain images of and have it look really good, at least with these GoPros. But speaking of that, let's get out on the road for a quick test drive. All right, let's get out on the road for a test drive. And one of the big advantages of the Discovery Sport is the fact that its size makes it extremely maneuverable and easy to get around. So if you live in a really big city area, well, that's most certainly going to have its advantages, especially if you live in an area that has real tight parking. Sometimes the parking spaces are a lot closer together from one row to the next in larger cities, and so that makes a difference, obviously. But overall, a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. The ride quality is good, and wow, I think that person just has to be so disappointed that they didn't just have a wreck, because it looked like they were really trying to. Excuse me before I was distracted by one of our classic, wonderful Shreveport drivers. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. The ride quality here is very good. At least that's what I find. Different people are going to have different opinions on things like that, but based on my personal experiences and the fact that we don't have the best roads all over the place here in Northwest Louisiana, I'm pretty impressed with the ride quality. And overall, not only is the ride quality good, the seats are good and comfortable. I would like to have something like this for maybe a few days, and be able to go out and take a trip, go a few hundred miles or drive it just overall for a few days and really be able to give a little bit more in-depth review of the ride quality. But from what I can tell, it's definitely good. So I know I'm pretty pleased with it. The controls and everything here are easy to use. The Pivy Pro really takes the Discovery Sport to a whole different level. The previous infotainment screen, well, it was a little bit more challenging to use. I'd say it wasn't quite as user-friendly, and it definitely did not have the modern look that we have here. So I think that Land Rover has done a great job across the board with all of their models incorporating the Pivy Pro, even though you don't really have a different look here overall with that, but still not a big deal. Handling is also good here as far as just overall responsiveness. Obviously, being with a little bit shorter wheelbase and lower center of gravity, that's going to make for some great handling. But at the same time, when you have a shorter wheelbase, often you sacrifice ride quality for that handling, being so agile, but not in this case. Easy to see out of, but with blind spot monitoring, as you have built into these side view mirrors, that really makes a big difference. You don't have to worry about it anyway, but there's really not a bad blind spot here to begin with, so that makes a big difference. Overall, a really great vehicle to drive. And one more thing, you might wonder, what about the 246 horsepower? Is it lacking? Well, it doesn't seem to be. There's another one of those great Shreveport drivers, even smarter than the first. I mean, I'd hate to take kind of a classic truck like that and be T-boned in it. They don't have any of those driving aids that this Discovery Sport has. In fact, they don't have any airbags or anything either. But hey, to each their own if you want to take chances like that. I could have a whole second channel on just the bad drivers I get here with my video and my test drives. Anyway, the 246 horsepower does seem to get this model down the road just fine. And be it that it's just me in the vehicle, I don't have a load of cargo back there, with our maximized cargo space, taking up all the space and adding more weight, and even towing over 4,000 pounds. I have to admit, the towing number rating, the rating number for this model is, well, pretty impressive. I'd like to see if we could actually do that sometime. If we can get a loaner, you never know what might happen down the road. So tell me down in the comments section, do you think the Land Rover Discovery Sport is the ultimate luxury compact crossover? Tell me why you answered the way that you did. I'm curious to know. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends here at Land Rover of Shreveport for loaning me this Discovery Sport for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about other models you may want to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.